welcome to the episode of Modern Bach. Thank you for joining me today. So the quarterfinals are in, the teams are chosen, and history is set in stone. So how do they stand? Who's playing who, and what's going to happen? So we first have the Australia versus England game, then followed by the New Zealand, Ireland, Wales, France, then after that, and then finally quarterfinal 4 is South Africa versus Japan. A little bit different to what some people were predicting, but overall matches the kind of way things were going. Especially with quarterfinal 1, 3, pretty much where we thought things were going to go. But obviously with the New Zealand, South Africa side, a little bit more topsy-turvy. So what does this mean for the tournament? I think what I'm doing in this video today, I thought I'd just go kind of like through the history of the teams playing each other, how they've performed before, and kind of, yeah, I'm focusing mostly on recent results between teams, so not all-time history, but it's just kind of recent results. So let's get into it. England, Australia. So they've played, in recent times, in the last 10 games they've played, England has won 8 and Australia 2. Interestingly enough, I think this is probably the most disparate. Like, there's been quite a comfortable bunch of wins by England from Australia. That used to be a little bit more close, but England have really seemed to have gotten Australia's number, and I don't think it's been much difference in the tournament. The average victory for England is 16 points. It's probably Australia's biggest question mark in this World Cup is just who is their number 10? Who's the fly-half? They just haven't gotten consistency. They've been going to Mua, Leofano, Foley. It's all just kind of like, and nobody's really sparked in the tournament. Nobody's really put their hand up. It's been tough. Tumoa's had some good games, but against minnow opponents, Foley had a little bit of a shocker against Fiji, but they did right the ship. Leofano has been consistent, but not amazing. None of them are really giving plays that Australia needs. They have quality backline. They're just not being fed the ball. I mean, if you have players like Kurabedi and Kurandrani in there, you want to give them the ball. So I just feel that it's frustrating for them. They have quality players throughout their backline, especially. They obviously do have a bit of definitely a quality in the front end, but their backline is what shines. And if they can get the ball right, they are a danger to any team. Never write off Australia in a World Cup, that's for sure. But England, on the other hand, just seem to be going on an upward trajectory. The question mark on everybody's lips for both this game and the New Zealand game is, does the 2 weeks affect their performance? Can they hold it? England have had no real competition going into this tournament. I know that the Argentina game was tough, but they still comfortably went through it. They haven't really put into full gear yet. Whereas I feel Australia have. That Wales game was impactful and intense. And yes, Wales ran away in the beginning, but Australia showed a lot of guts and grit to come close in the end. The Fiji game and others also just kept on going and pulled it away in the end. So Australia definitely have had more of a battle to this quarterfinal, and England haven't. Is this going to mean that England are going to need some time to get themselves into gear, or are they going to fire from moment one? The Owen Farrell-Ford combination is working wonders for them, and something that I definitely think is their ticket to this World Cup. I feel that they're one of the favourites. On the other hand, the Australia, as I said, don't have that pivotal point that they can do from. I think Nick White's been good, but I don't know, that whole combination there isn't working yet. So we'll have to see. And then obviously, there's so many other players that are massive matchups that I have to see in this game, but that's my question. Can England step up in time, or have Australia had enough hard games that they can really bring it to a team? And let's not underestimate it. That Wales-Australia game was huge. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Although I am going to pick England for this. I will be bringing out a picks video, but only once the teams are announced. I want to see the team makeup, the team plans, to make sure that they are kind of like to see if there's any upset, like combination plans, how I feel teams will go. So now I'm just kind of talking about history, where I think it'll end up right now. Next up, New Zealand, Ireland. This one is interesting in a couple of ways. Obviously, in the last 9 games, New Zealand have won 7, Ireland have won 2. But that's what's interesting about this, because the last game they played, Ireland did win 16-9, and this is not even that long ago, in November. And the average of the last 4 games is actually Ireland by 1. They've actually won. They've gotten more points and more wins in the last 4 games. Obviously, even 2-2, but more points on Ireland's side, which is very interesting to see. I think, in my opinion, New Zealand are almost certainly going to go for the Richie, Mo'unga, Bowden, Barrett combination that they played against South Africa. That worked very well for them. To be fair, Geordie had some good moments, but I don't think Geordie's a starter. He had some good moments against teams that just didn't challenge him, whereas I think the Bowden Barrett Uchimonga is now tried and tested and will be used going forward. On the other hand, Johnny Sexton is their man. It really is their man, and he is pretty much Ireland do well when he's on the field and shaky when he's not. He's pretty much the guy who's on the sideline watching them lose often. So he needs to be there. He needs to be top form to give them even close to a chance. Now, interesting question on that is obviously, is it going to be Carney or is it going to be Lamour? As I felt, Carney had a shaky tournament. He hasn't really shone. He's been very, as I said, shaky, repeating myself, but also, I don't know, he hasn't really brought any X factor. His work rate isn't as high as it normally is, whereas Lamour had a great game recently and really is putting his hand up hugely in this tournament. I don't think they change him, but something that the Irish coach definitely needs to think about. It is definitely New Zealand coaches heading head on head, and Ireland have a lot to prove in this tournament, finally getting themselves back in the quarterfinals with some great victories after that Japan shocker, but they are up against it with New Zealand. I definitely think this is a tough path that they've given themselves in this tournament, but if any team can do it in recent history, it is Ireland. So that's what I love about this game. This is probably one of the most up in the air games. Ireland have definitely gotten New Zealand's number, and it's due to the similar playing style that South Africa also have adopted, that's also given them victories of New Zealand. That massively strong rush defence. But interestingly enough, I feel Ireland have kind of had a wonky, topsy-turvy World Cup. They really haven't been able to shine as much as they could have. That first Scotland game was massively impressive, and they just could not build on it. They haven't been able to build on it. Their defence, in my opinion, has become more and more porous as they're trying to figure out a working thing, and it almost looks like they're trying to adapt as they go in this tournament instead of sticking to their guns. So yeah, I hope that Japan loss hasn't shocked them and had them lose confidence. It'll cost them in this quarterfinal. Obviously, New Zealand again. 28 days by the time they play this, that they actually have played a big game against South Africa. The other games have been relatively easy and haven't played their starting lineup now for almost a month. How is that going to affect it? They've been swapping out players. Their players will be well rested, but could they be rusty? This is what Ireland need to jump on. As a New Zealand fan, this definitely would be something that would make me nervous, and I can guarantee you if they lose this, the headlines on Sunday will be the reason they're going to blame the Typhoons' cancelled game. They're going to blame it, I can guarantee you. But that's my opinion. Wales, France, the next game. So Wales have the upper hand here with the last 10 games, Wales winning 7, France winning 3. But it is a tight one. This is tight. Wales on average only winning by 3 points. The last time they played it was 24-19 to Wales. It's very tight. This is margins of error beyond. Wales have had a really tough path to this World Cup, a hard game against Uruguay. I know a lot of their subs were in that game, but they still had a hard path here. They've had a bruising game against the big boys Fiji. Woo, that was a bruiser. Can and Bigger, I think, got a little bit of a niggle there. Is he going to be okay? I hope so. And how is that going to play into all of this? France, obviously also missing the weekend's games, have had a relatively decent World Cup so far. Shaky, yes. Tonga game was shaky. The Argentina game was hard fought, but they showed their guns playing there. Never underestimate the French in a World Cup. I think it's going to come down to, can Wales get their attack going, because they could not in a couple of games now, and compared to in the beginning of the World Cup, and they seem to be on a downward trajectory. Can they lift it up again? Can they bring up? Because I think that they are a world-class side. The question mark, and I think the Uruguay game showed it, their depth is just not there. I hope that they can bring it forward, because they just don't have the depth that some of the other teams have in this quarterfinal stage. How is that going to affect their tournament for sure? France on the other side are definitely just, everybody repeats it, I'm going to say the classic line, France is unpredictable. They could bring the best game in the World Cup or the worst, I don't know. So this is going to be interesting for Welsh fans and for French fans. How is that going to play out? Can they bring their A game? And that's going to make it one hell of a battle. Last up, the South Africa-Japan game. This is an interesting one. This is an interesting one. So 50-50 win record, 1-1. Yes, everybody remembers 2015. I do too. Sometimes I dream about it. Maybe, hold on, dreams are one, nightmares, all that stuff. But Japan are not the same team South Africa played before, as a warm-up. This is definitely not the same team. Some people are saying that it should be an easy win considering, but I am scrapping that. I mean, if you take average South Africa, I win by 16. But I don't think so. This is much more the 2015 team. Outstandingly clinical defense throughout their tournament so far, averaging of 80 to 90% tackle rates, massive handling performances. Really the only team able to really string together some quality plays in this weather, which is outstanding to watch, and probably the most fun team to watch in this tournament so far. Saying that as South African, they have been electric to watch. What passion and power from that team. As South African, I am nervous about this game. It's going to be interesting to see Pollard face up to Mura. Mura's had a massive World Cup, really just being exceptionally patient and clinical on his attacks, understanding when to hold and just play the line and draw defenders and tire out the defense and then attack. Really clinical, utilizing his Hishoma and Matsushima really well in this tournament. I cannot believe the quality this player is bringing to this tournament. Pollard, on the other hand, has had 2 games, and this is probably where I think this game is going to hinge. There's a couple other games like that, but this game is hinging on the fact that South Africa have had a lot of opportunity to hit and miss, and also I know there's some people saying that break. South Africa last played on Tuesday. Is that going to affect it? Now they're one of the teams with the longest breaks, barring that New Zealand also have a longer, and England also due to the cancelled game. They definitely were planned already to have the longest game. So has Rassi calculated that in? On the other hand, Japan playing the last week, so they've got only a week, which is a standard time, so it shouldn't be too bad. But pretty much all of their star players have played every game. At some point, the damn wall's got to break. Can they bring it up? I mean, Leach, Labuskaghni, Tamura, Matsushima, all of those have played every game, pretty much the entire game. Is it just too much? Can they continue with this rate of play? A lot of people are going to be asking that question, so we will see. It's an interesting game, definitely a lot going on there. 50-50 in the history books. We'll see a beautiful, beautiful return to the miracle at Brighton. Even if I say this myself as a South African, congrats Japan for getting into the quarterfinals for sure. But yeah, guys, let me know down below your opinions, your comments, how do you feel? Where do you think this quarterfinals are going to go? It is amazing. These group stages ended with a bang, and I think these quarterfinals are not going to disappoint. Let me know everything down below. Cheers, guys. Comment. Bye.